There's a reference to what looks like Ellie or Lily. I'm looking at what looks like E and then L and then L and then E is kind of the only way that I would be able to describe it.
You can't be messing with me, dog. Come on, man. You gotta be Googling this stuff, dog, before you come in here, dog. Come on, we're not gonna do this.
What is that?
Come on, man.
Seriously.
You messing with me, dog.
No, not the slightest.
You messing with me, dog.
No.
Come on.
No, that's what's coming through. Who is that?
September birthday, sudden passing, E-L-L-E. No Google.
No Google.
This is just...
This is embarrassing. I don't even recognize you.
Don't worry about that part. We'll talk about that later. It gives me joy you don't know who I am. It gives me joy. Okay, talking about Michelle Thomas.
Okay.
She was my old co-star from Family Matters.
Right.
And she died of stomach cancer. Quickly.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
And she had a lot of friends. She had a lot of friends in the music industry. Come on, man, you gotta be Googling stuff, man. This is crazy, bro. Her birthday, September 23rd, 1968.
Wow. Wow.
So that's 2 days after the 21 you said.
All right.
You about to get me memed up on Instagram. Not that grandpa.
Okay, so let's see what we get. Give me 1 sec. This is strange. You have like a weird death here coming through, is like the way I need to kind of process this. Whoever this was, and it would have been a female, not a male. I'm also seeing music signs. This is interesting the way this comes across.
Mm-hmm.
She's having like, what is this? She'll like joke. This is weird. I don't know what it is. She's like doing this weird hand thing with me. It's like a funny, like a weird, she's just being silly.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a funny, random, like silly, like she's.
Is she loud?
She's very, very direct
Mm-hmm.
the way this comes across. Someone might go by a nickname. I'm getting a reference to, it's like a name I've never heard before. It'd be like a really unique one.
I think we all know what's going on. Well, most of us.
I don't know this name, but it's funny because she's the type that could have given advice and told everyone, like, get out of that relationship, he's not good for you. But when it came to getting that advice herself, it was much harder.
Oh, that's so true. We used to have to argue for hours. She is not lying. I used to be like, and then she would tell me, well, I just had to argue with you to get my point across. And she was like, I knew an hour ago that you was right. I'm like, what are you doing to me?
That's Lisa.
But there is a reference to South America and South American countries. Do you know if she had visited at any point Central America, from your knowledge?
Honduras.
Okay. And then she's referencing to a car accident. Mm-hmm. And this is interesting because she's placing these two together, but she's having me acknowledge that if this had happened in a different country, this wouldn't have happened.
Dangerous.
But I wouldn't think that it would happen to me in the States. So the reason why I'm going to describe this is if someone is not familiar with the way that we drive in a different country, and as a result we die, when had we been on the road and perfectly capable, we might have been able to manage in the United States, you know, somewhere where we might have
I
been
know what you're
familiar.
talking about because it was only 2 lanes
Right.
when she got in the car wreck.
Right.
And it's the way that the roads are.
Right. Interesting. Okay. She's just, from her perspective, happy that no one else was killed in this incident. She's more focused on others and their well-being. Unique.
And it was
kind of
8 people in the car, and
Okay.
she's the only one who died. Everybody could have. A lot of people got hurt.
Right.
Bad.
Right.
But she's the only one who
She's the
didn't
only
make it.
one. Wow. Oh my gosh.
Everything you said, you were dead on. Like, she was in the car in Honduras, and the road was weird.
I'm so sorry.
So you have to turn the picture over.
woman coming through, having me talk about her heart. And this is very clear in the way that this comes through. She's very insistent to acknowledge, no matter how I died, I need them to know the heart. I need them to know the heart. And there's a feeling of having a susceptibility to a heart arrhythmia and also having a susceptibility just to a heart issue. But I can distinctly tell there are other aspects to this passing. People talking about this, discussing this heart thing, but it's something else. It's like, or I die of something else, people think I die of something else. And there's just an emphasis on basically saying, like, people don't know the full picture of how, to what extent this really affected me. But it's a weird way for it to get presented from someone to just randomly pop in. Have there been recent discussions about an individual having, like, a heart thing, or people said someone had a heart condition?
My ex-wife.
Okay, this feels heavy.
Oh, boy.
I really want to keep this in mind. I have to talk about health, and it's kind of health with family. For the men in your family, it's really good to just take into consideration that blood pressure is going to be something that we really have to keep in mind. Now, heart issues, they happen to men. It's not uncommon, but the thing is that, let me see what that is. I don't even know where to start. When it comes to like a family and a gene perspective, it's possible that within your family there might be multiple men who end up at a later age dealing with blood pressure issues, but also deal with either a heart murmur or a heart arrhythmia. But I feel like I have to kind of go to heart, and this kind of correlates with blood pressure. So just kind of keep that in mind. I have a couple people who've, you know, kind of came through and acknowledged passing in a bit of a similar sense, and it's almost saying like, keep in mind your own heart, because there's a man who was very stubborn who passed away, and he acknowledges dying as a result of this heart problem. His message is, don't be stubborn like I was. And the feeling is like, this is a strong guy, he's great, he's lovely, but he was really frustrated at the fact that he neglected this, because this is something that could have been treatable had we just known about it. I'm not wanting to go, and there's just a feeling of like, don't let you be me, basically, in the way this comes across. It's like, keep this in mind, be proactive in your health, do what I didn't, is kind of the message, so.
No history of heart disease.
Sure.
In the family.
Sure.
With the exception of my sister, had a heart issue, had open heart surgery. Delighted that she's fine now.
Great.
But it can't get much more serious than that.
Sure.
Just not a genetic line that we've known.
Right. Interesting. Okay.
I'm interested to see who may have messages for me. There is someone that I have in mind that I hope I'll hear from. We'll see. I don't want to say. I'm going to keep it under my hat. Have you been doing this since you were little?
I've basically done this since I was 10 years old, and I've worked like formally since I was 16. But when I was 10, my grandmother was ill with cancer. I woke up one night and just knew she was going to pass away, and she did moments later. But the beauty of readings is that they're actually very positive. I tell people what they're meant to hear, not always what they want to hear. I don't believe that the future's set in stone, so I think we have some degree of influence over it. So we can focus on your personal life, and we'll see. So let's see what we can do. Okay, got that. So now, there's a reference to an opportunity to get into painting, specifically a reference to oil painting, and that's something that you'll have an opportunity to do. But the weird thing is there's also sculpting, and that's something that might seem completely left field.
That's crazy.
And it's like a new thing, but it definitely comes through.
That's crazy.
Do tell.
Last night, I called my boyfriend and I said, you know, I want to take sculpture classes because I bet if I could just get past the idea that I'm terrible at it and get some kind of guidance, I know I could do it because I've always made art, and sculpture is one of the things that I was just never good at, but I've always loved so much.
Yeah.
And just last night, that is so crazy that you bring that up.
Yeah. And I think that's like a really good example of like how we as human beings kind of limit ourselves and put ourselves in boxes and what we can and cannot do. And I think oftentimes people kind of shoot themselves in the foot. We kind of self-sabotage by not fully doing what we are interested in because, you know, we feel we're not good at it.
Yeah, I'm tripping out on that right now.
Good. Well, I definitely encourage that, and that looks amazing. So.
Thank you. I see you doing sculpture. It's just what? You know? Like out of the world of possibilities, it could be I see you learning to raise llamas, you know, or horseback riding, or, you know, macro photography. It's about that weird, you know?
There's already a couple people popping in for you that I'm gonna kind of talk to you about.
Okay. I have some very dear family members who passed away, who I was extremely close to. They were really there for me during a lot of stuff. And so I would love to see who comes through.
So there is an older woman who's coming through, and she is acknowledging that she feels she lived a full duration of life. She views you like a mother would view a daughter. Who experienced the fall? Someone had a fall before they passed. She's showing me a fall.
My grandmother fell many times and broke her femur.
Right.
One leg was bowed so severely that she could no longer put weight on it because it would just snap.
She did not want to be kept alive artificially, and like, do not keep me alive unless I'm doing it on my own. I don't want a breathing machine. She's doing this to me, which is always referencing to pulling something out. She talks about the incident where she pulled it out. Does that make sense to you?
At the end, she, right before she passed, she wasn't able to eat anything. Right. And so they had to put like a food tube down her throat, and she didn't want it.
Right.
And she kept trying to pull it out, and in order to feed her, they had to put it back in, but she kept pulling it off, and she would pull the oxygen mask off, and she kept saying she didn't want this anymore. She didn't want that stuff.
Yeah, and she didn't. And when she comes through, she's so relieved that she doesn't have to go through that anymore. And she's beautiful. I mean, she's just such, when she comes through so young and so beautiful. And that is how she wants to be remembered, truly.
My Grammy had so many health problems, but you would never know it. You know, she was just sweet, and she was just a huge support in my life. But to watch somebody that you love so much go through that was really hard, because you just want to take it away and make it all better, but there's no way to do that.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. She's coming through and talking about the fact that you were special. Like, there's a connection of like, this is my girl. Like, this is special. She's acknowledging that she came through in a dream, and she's acknowledging this is actually a very like healing kind of an experience, because it was like, oh, you're there. What did she say in the dream?
I don't remember what she said in the dream, but I just remember her being there.
Yeah.
I remember, you know, I remember her presence in the dream, and I remember waking up feeling like, oh, okay.
Right.
You know, it was better.
Right. No, there definitely are those connections that they make to us oftentimes. She comes across and acknowledges that she was just really heavily wanting you to be okay after she died. I do have to ask, there is a reference to a recovered alcoholic.
Oh, my.
And she's making a reference to it of showing a lot of pride about the recovered alcoholic. So who would that be?
Me?
That's great.
Yeah.
Yes, she's so proud of it, because she's talking about, I'm seeing symbols of recovery, and this is coming through, she's giving me the thumbs up with this, of like, I went through this very strong, difficult bout, and I got out of it, and that's awesome. So please know that that's her way of acknowledging that. Right. She puts an emphasis on the recovery, and it's like, I'm so incredibly proud of that.
Yeah.
And that's what comes through. So please know that she's aware of that.
It hit me in an emotional spot was when she said she was proud of my recovery, because my grandma, no matter what, was my biggest supporter. No matter what I had done or what I had screwed up or not screwed up, she loved me.
Interesting how this man connected. Okay. I immediately have to highlight a man that's coming through who's kind of insistent to connect. And when he's coming through, there's an acknowledgement basically from his perspective that he feels like he got to live a pretty decent long period of life, but he feels like his life was cut short. He's saying that he withheld telling people about his diagnosis to some extent. So it's kind of like expected but unexpected, because it's like, I might be sick, but when I die, it's not like we're expecting me to pass. So, and immediately when I sat down, he's who I'm meant to connect to today. Check and see, connected to him, someone within family would have passed away of a cancer that affected the filtration system. To me, that's kidney, liver, or pancreas.
Can I talk?
Yeah, sure.
That's my granddad.
Oh, okay.
That's why he died.
Oh, wow,
And
okay.
how he died.
No way. Wow, okay, so that would be him. And I want you to know this because this will actually provide comfort, that he actually saw the other side before he transitioned. And I need you to know that, and I've never said that. And he's coming through and he's like, I knew where I was going because I saw it.
Yeah. And I know that he knows that.
Good.
Because we used to talk about it all the time.
He knew. He knew. And he wasn't afraid.
Wasn't scared. I was about to say that. Yeah, he used to laugh because everybody thinks I'm scared, but I'm not scared of dying. And we used to have long conversations about it.
Please know, he knew where he was going, and he knew that you knew that. And that's so important.
For Tyler to pick up on all of those details because my granddad had cancer for a long, long, long time, but didn't tell anybody until the cancer was so bad that he couldn't deny it because he was gonna die. So the way that he told everyone was very sudden and very abrupt. He used to always say to me, I know I'm not gonna pull through. He used to always say, thank you, because I can only talk about my death to you. So we used to have secret conversations, me and my granddad, and that's crazy that Tyler picked up on that.